everyone. Welcome back inside Centura Health Training Center for another episode of Broncos Now. As always, I'm your host, Sydney Jones. And coming up on today's episode, we'll take a look back at the Broncos' 21-20 win over the Minnesota Vikings. We'll hear from head coach Sean Payton, and Broncos lead writer Eric Dellala joins the show for a game recap. All that and more coming up. The Denver Broncos have now won 4 straight games and improved to 5-5 following a Sunday night's win over the Minnesota Vikings. Today, we heard from head coach Sean Payton as he discussed Russell Wilson's game-winning drive to put the Broncos up 21-20.
If you went back the first time he did it, he probably, I don't know what, if you went back and saw, was it his, first or second season, maybe it was in a preseason game, then he has a second one. And then as a starter, he has a third one. And then pretty soon, the group believes, and it gets kind of back to that confidence and demonstrated ability discussion. And then when, you've had 37 or 36, 38, there's a clear belief that it can happen again. And so I think it's one of those things that can build confidence and momentum. And fortunately for 2 weeks in a row now, it's come up and been very important for us.
Tight end Adam Troutman also spoke to the media today and added to that, discussing the team's confidence in Russ in these late game situations.
So we're down going into that last drive. What was it? Down by 5. And, it's like, all right, we got to get in the end zone. And it was nobody flinched. And it was a confidence thing. We got down to, I think we got to 4th down right away. And it didn't matter. We were confident. And, that's what he's instilled in us, and we feel super confident with him leading us on those 2-minute drives. And it's not just me saying that because it's proven, especially the last 2 weeks.
After watching Sunday night's film, both head coach Sean Payton and Adam Troutman discussed what they need to clean up on offense.
5 field goals, our red zone production, our third down production first off, but last night was disappointing watching the film. We knew it was a complex defense relative to what they did, but, I felt like we didn't defend the run the way we wanted to. We certainly didn't score enough points the way we wanted to, and the turnovers gave us a chance to win the game. That's the reality of it.
There's a lot of things you have to improve upon, and obviously in this league, it's all about winning, and that can kind of get masked sometimes in the wrong culture. That can get masked by winning. But even though, you win, there's a lot of stuff that needs to get cleaned up, a lot on offense. Because you can't just rely on we relied on the defense, and they are playing, they look like the best defense in the league right now. And so yeah, we need to flip the script fast on offense and just be able to move the ball better, be more consistent, be better in third down, be better in red zone. So collectively as a unit, we just need to progress.
And defensively, head coach Sean Payton also talked about what he hopes to see that unit clean up, specifically their run defense.
At times you're playing a single safety defense. We should be, in a single gap look. So our gap integrity wasn't clean the way it needed to be. And, when that happens, and teams that run the ball hit a gap where you're not where you're supposed to be, you end up with an 8-yard gain instead of a 2-yard gain.
Certainly the bright spot on defense has been their takeaways, 12 over the past 3 games, and 4 of those have come from cornerback Jaquan McMillan.
Sometimes there are certain players, the ball finds them, and, he seems to have some of those traits. And so, proud of how he's played and how he's worked, and his enthusiasm, it's kind of contagious. And I think he's brought a lot to the defense.
We also heard from cornerback Jaquan McMillan as he detailed his takeaways the past several games.
I just say it, when you doing stuff right and you just doing your job, and the ball is going to find you, football God's going to bless you, So I just try to just do what I was supposed to do my job, and the plays will come, and I just depend on my help or the defense, just do what the coaches ask me to do, and they're going to put me in the right position every time, and the ball going to continue to find me.
Now joining me here inside the Broncos podcast studio for a game recap is Broncos lead writer Eric Dellala. Eric, thanks for joining me today.
You got it. Said another win.
I know. The Broncos have won 4 straight now, Eric. First time since 2016.
That's right. Said my first 4 games working for the organization. It's been a long time.
It has been a long time. I have not seen that since I've been here.
No, a lot of guys in the locker room haven't seen it, but they've found a way to get it done here the last few weeks. Hasn't always been pretty. Certainly wasn't pretty last night, but I think there's something cool about winning when you're not playing your best football. I think that's kind of a sign of a good team, that you can find ways to win football games. And Broncos did that on Sunday Night Football.
Yeah, I think so too, Eric. Another nail-biting finish for this team. They like to keep us on the edge of our seats.
A lot of
anxiety.
anxiety.
It's been fun to watch, yeah.
Yeah, it's fun, anxious. You go through moments. I think Justin Simmons said last night, it seemed dark there for a little bit, and certainly at a period of time, you're like, uh-oh, the streak's coming to an end, but they made big plays when it mattered. And, there's a few plays here or there. Justin Simmons always says this, that determine the outcome of a football game, and they went in the Broncos' favor. Denver stepped up when they needed to on defense, had a big drive on offense, and they won the football game.
Yeah. Eric, you mentioned it, that game-winning drive for Russell Wilson. Another one from him there. I know we heard earlier in the show from head coach Sean Payton just about Russ's ability to just come up big in these really huge key moments for the team, and he contributed that to just confidence and, demonstrated abilities. So many things that this team has talked about over the course of the season.
Yeah, I mean, Russ now leads the NFL in fourth quarter comebacks and game-winning drives this season, and I think the belief in what Russ can do and what this offense can do is high. We heard Adam Troutman say even on fourth down when it's looking bleak, these guys aren't worried, they're not stressed out, and they've done it before. And I think when you've gone down the field, a couple weeks ago and you get a big win against the Bills last week. It feels like a couple weeks ago.
It does.
And get a game-winning field goal, that breeds confidence. And you do it against Chicago, helps you feel better. You're able to put together some big drives against Kansas City and earn a win. I mean, those sorts of things help you feel like you can do it again. And the Broncos showed that ability. I do think, given the kind of the stakes of the game, the Broncos being able to get back to 5-5, win 4 games in a row, like you said, for the first time since 2016. I think you've got to put it right up there with the best drives Russell Wilson's had since he's been in Denver. I think it's arguably number one. I mean, maybe you look back at the San Francisco game a year ago in week 3, but the stakes of that game, I don't know if – I mean, it was a big win. Make no mistake about that, but I think this team has a – it's later in the season, and just to keep the streak going, I think maybe it means a little bit more. And it was an impressive drive. Samaje Perine made some great plays. Cortland Sutton with a big catch. So everybody contributed, and Broncos, again, it wasn't pretty on offense, but they scored when they needed to.
Yeah, Eric, going off of that, one of the big topics of conversation today is just needing to clean up this offense moving forward. I know head coach Sean Payton, he talked about third down, red zone efficiency. What do you think will be key to kind of improving those situations moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, one, I think it's important to note that scoring is kind of down across the league, and these big plays are down, and so you are going to find yourselves in some grinded out type of games. Certainly this week against Cleveland, it wouldn't surprise me if it's the same type of thing. The Vikings bring a lot of pressure. They're a difficult defense to play against. It's a good football team.
Yeah.
So I think that's part of it. Obviously, you want to be better than 2 for 12 on third down or whatever they finish, and 1 of 5 in the red zone. You have to be better there. I do think if you look at it, there are a couple times where, Russ has a third down pass to Jerry Jeudy in the end zone, and whether it's the defender getting there a little bit early or Jerry just not being able to haul it in, that changes kind of the narrative of the game. Or
good point.
Having it's 3rd and 1, having a penalty that negates first down in the red zone, that changes the narrative of how you're doing. So there are kind of fine margins there that the Broncos obviously need to correct. Execution needs to be a little bit better. They have to get rid of some of these penalties. But I do think it's encouraging that in the big moments, the Broncos are coming through. They're avoiding turnovers, which is a big thing.
Good, yeah.
It might not be the flashy, exciting style of football at all times, and you might have to take checkdowns and pick up, 3 or 4 yard carries here or there. But when you avoid turnovers, you give yourself an extra possession, obviously, because you're not giving it away, and you can help normally control time of possession. Obviously, that didn't happen last night, but those are the things the Broncos are doing well in terms of not turning it over, coming up big in the big moments. But yeah, to find success the rest of the year, have to get back to running the football well.
Right.
We heard Adam Trautman say they're not really worried about that. They think they'll be able to get back to that. And then just kind of make those key plays on third down. And we've seen times this year, Sid, where the Broncos have been, very good on third down, particularly third and short. I did think there were a number of opportunities last night where the Broncos had third and short and just weren't able to convert. You'd like to believe that maybe flips a little bit. But it is at times just going to be – it's still a work in progress, right? We're only 10 games into the Sean Payton era, still figuring things out a little bit. But as long as they come up big in the big moments and don't turn the ball over, they're going to be in football games.
Yep. Eric, you mentioned it, this offense being able to limit turnovers and then this defense getting the ball, taking the ball away. I mean, that's been a huge factor to these wins. So I want to talk about the defense for a little bit. I mean, 12 takeaways in the past 3 games, 3 of those last night versus the Vikings, and then they got that huge stop on the final drive of the game. I mean, the Broncos wouldn't be in the position they are right now without that unit.
No, and, the takeaways, I think people kind of look at it and say, oh, is this sustainable? Are you going to be able to do this moving forward? Maybe not at the rate they're doing it at, but I do think you look at 2 of the takeaways yesterday. You look at the forced fumble on the first Vikings drive of the game.
Yeah.
That was just good technique by Baron Browning. They're 100%. Holding the runner up, holding Josh Dobbs up, able to rip the ball away. The Jaquan McMillan interception, that was, again, another example of getting pressure on the quarterback. You're playing a guy who has been a reserve for most of his career, who you think you can probably force into some mistakes, and you're able to get a red zone interception, or rather an interception that puts you in the red zone on offense. And so as you move forward, you're going to face another rookie quarterback this week, it looks like. Maybe you can put some pressure on him, force another turnover or 2. So I do think it's sustainable from that standpoint. Now, the rush defense definitely has to get better, and it doesn't look like, at least from Sean Payton's perspective, that it's the same issues as earlier in the season, but you certainly can't give up 72 rushing yards in the first quarter, and you can't give up 175 over the course of the game. You've got to be better there. And but the red zone defense still been good for the most part, so that is encouraging. And it does seem like maybe that's just a hallmark of this defense rather than an aberration of sorts. And then, like you mentioned, the final drive was impressive just in terms of the Broncos' ability to get pressure. And you've got some quarterbacks coming up, a rookie this week, a rookie in Houston, where maybe if you get a lead, you're able to force some mistakes. And whether it's a big stop at the end of the game or a turnover, find a way to make some plays. And so, I'm excited about what this defense is doing. Just got to keep it going, maybe hone in on some fundamentals, tackling a little bit. But you're right. They're a big reason why the Broncos have won 4 straight.
And Will Lutz, we got to talk about kicker Will Lutz. I mean, 5 field goals for him on Sunday night. And just overall, special teams really turned things around from their last performance versus the Bills.
Yeah, it was much better, and there weren't kind of the mistakes. Obviously, the fake punt is the one kind of, aberration there, or the one area that you need to clean up. Yeah, it was a big one. That you hope the Broncos can get fixed, and that was just a gutsy call by Kevin O'Connell. And listen, other teams are going to make plays, and the defense did well after that to force a field goal and get a stop. But, I think you saw at the end of the first half, Will Lutz makes a 50-plus yarder as time expires. That was a big play in the game. Didn't miss any of his 5 kicks, a career high for him, able to kind of hang in there. And after a not-so-good performance from the operation a week ago, it was clean this week. Broncos obviously don't win without Will Lutz going 5 for 5. Sean Payton gave him a game ball after the win. So that's all important. And listen, some of these plays they're not glamorous. They're not exciting. It's not necessarily thrilling to get a field goal and cut it to 10-6 or 10-9 or whatever, but they keep you in the football game.
They're getting the job done.
And the Vikings had a lot of opportunities in that football game to put it away. I think of, it's third quarter, they're up 8, they've got the ball on the Broncos side of the field, and points there, maybe it ends the football game. Broncos force a fumble and, again, go down and get a field goal. But at the same time, you hang around in that game. And in the NFL, if you don't put teams away, you're going to pay for it. And the Vikings last night paid for it because the Broncos came back. They had one opportunity, one chance to do something, made it happen.
All right, Eric, last one for you here. Now that the Broncos sit at 5-5, 7 weeks left of the season, what's kind of the playoff picture look like right now?
Oh my gosh, it's crowded.
Yeah.
In the AFC. You got to keep winning. I think that's the number one thing. This team, Mike McGlinchey said before this win, it's not time to stop and smell the roses and be all excited about what we've done so far. I think the nature of the way they won this football game will kind of keep them focused. As Sean Payton said on Monday, hey, there's a lot to clean up here. And it's not just coach speak. I think you look at the box score and you realize the Broncos could have very easily lost this football game. They won it. It's great to win when you're maybe not supposed to win, when you don't have your best stuff. But, keep winning. Obviously, AFC games are going to be critical. So this week's game against the Browns, who are in that wild card mix, a game against the Texans coming up, who are in that wild card mix. Those are both critical games. You've still got 3 division games left. You might have to win all 3.
Yeah. It's hard the rest of the schedule.
Yeah, I mean, I think I saw something that the Broncos schedule the rest of the way is 16th in the league. So it's not terrible.
Not terrible then,
but the margin for error is obviously slim. And I think that again is where the 1-5 start comes in. You're not going to have the wiggle room. You can't just kind of have an off week and drop one.
Right.
But if the Broncos can they go 5-2 down the stretch, that would probably be enough, depending on who those losses are to.
Right.
And you never want to guarantee anything, but if the Broncos can play a little bit better than they played on offense, find a way to grind out a win over the Browns, it would be a huge step in the right direction. And I think that's the key. 1 week at a time, find a way to win, and each week get a little bit closer to that goal.
Yeah. Well, it's fun talking about wins in here, Eric.
It's
been nice the past couple weeks.
Yeah, it's been like a month. It has. It's great.
It is great. Well, appreciate you joining the show today, Eric.
You got it, Sid.
That's going to do it for today's episode of Broncos Now, Broncos Country. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'll meet you right back here on the Broncos Podcast Network and YouTube tomorrow for another episode. I'll see you all then.